Welcome to our channel, Gray Matters. We are two neurodivergent ladies who fixate and need to share, and we've created this channel to do just that. Check out our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow, for some deeper dives. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we wanted to do a kind of big overview of the Mica Miller case. What we know, what we're still trying to find answers to. And yeah, this is really for anybody who is kind of new to the case. We've done so many videos. We kind of just wanted like a quick summary, I think, of the facts.
Yeah. And we hope, especially for anyone new who's joined us midway through, kind of this summer can help get you up to speed on the case. And then it'd be great to have you go back and then watch our other videos as, which have encompassed our theories and also educated on some possible activities that were going along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into it. I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, so I'm going to be looking at my screen and not so much at you guys, so bear with me.
And I will try to stay quiet.
All right. Mica Frances Miller was found dead on April 27th, 2024 in Lumber River State Park. The next day, her estranged pastor husband, John Paul Miller, announced her death to his congregation after preaching 2 Sunday morning services.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're going to have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. Y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to
His announcement went viral, thrusting him and Mica's death into the spotlight. Her death was ruled as suicide, despite the many questions that remained about the circumstances. JP and Mica got married in 2017 after their affair from 2015 had been discovered. They were both married to other people. Mica had a breast augmentation in 2017 after being pressured by JP. She had a bad reaction to the anesthesia, which led JP to saying that this was the inciting incident to Mica's mental health spiraling downward. He began saying that she needed to be medicated and that she was mentally unwell.
He says these things, but we realize that pretty crazy accusations.
Yeah.
For the beginning of her mental health issues too.
Yes, yeah. There was nothing before 2017 of note of her even having anxiety or...
And nor has her family ever stated that she had problems prior to.
Right. JP was co-owner of Crocodile Rock's dueling piano bar with Mark Kaufman and Craig Smith. Crocodile Rocks appears to be at the center of illegal funds, allegedly, that are funneled through Solid Rock Church, as alleged by Mica to a friend. Mark Kaufman is a pilot who sold a private plane to Solid Rock Church. Craig Smith is a difficult person to find on the internet, but his fingers are in a lot of pies around.
I can hear the music, and we're here with Craig, owner and operator of Crocodile Rocks.
It's hard to believe it's been 30 years, bro.
Unbelievable.
We've gutted it out. We made it through the tough times, but it's been a lot of fun.
Craig Smith and Mark Kaufman are like the primary owners, the legal owners of Crocodile Rocks. From the very beginning, we heard about JP being a partial owner, but it never looks like on paper he was. It was always kind of a question of what his association was. Mica had spoken of him bringing these bags of money home from the bar, and my assumption is that is how he became connected, or maybe was even a cover.
Yeah. Well, and the other I think side of it is it's not the best look that a pastor is a co-owner of a bar. So perhaps keeping him off paper is a good kind of way of separating those two professions. In 2021, an alleged affair between JP and Solid Rock Church member Susie Skinner was discovered. Susie's husband, Chris Skinner, was a paraplegic man who had become a motivational speaker. Chris and Susie met when she was his physical therapist. Soon after, Chris was discovered dead in a swimming pool, still belted into his wheelchair. His death would be ruled an accident. Chris had confronted JP a few days before his death, telling him to stay away from his wife and children. JP would lead his funeral, but before Chris's death, he gave a sermon where he mentioned feeling pushed underwater. At the funeral, he preached that Chris was better off in heaven. There has been some evidence that Mica, JP's ex-wife Allison, and relative of Susie's were suspicious of something going on.
Yeah. And so this has been a pretty big part of the narrative. Um, I take a little bit of a softer approach to Susie and how she was involved, and also feel like it's something we need to be really careful about when we talk about the loss of Chris Skinner, because they do have young kids or kids, and there's been talk of Chris having told JP, "You need to stay away from my wife and family." I just think it's interesting to look at those words. We assume as they were having a romantic relationship. I just think we needed to say open minded to maybe it was a different kind of relationship. Maybe it could have even been a partnership in a business and transactions, or even in nefarious or illegal activities. So they are married now. Their claims have always been that they were not together at that time, but they are currently married as of a few months ago.
Yeah, yeah. So there were some other huge events in 2021 that were really, I think, formative in the JP we see today. After a felony many years prior, JP was able to have his right to acquire firearms reinstated. At the time, he and Mica were dealing with some financial instability, with JP taking a second mortgage out on their home. And also in 2021, JP's father, Wayne Miller, who had already had a life plagued with scandal, had fled from Pakistan with his alleged boyfriend, where he was trying to launch a church and a school after multiple accusations of sexual abuse against minor boys.
He was basically driven out of Pakistan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still maintains some connection through quote
Yeah.
unquote missionary work. So
Yeah. I check in on the Wayne Miller and Friends Facebook group every now and then, and nothing has changed in a lot of ways. Mica had a deep love for Africa, and she actually wanted to be a missionary in Kenya. She worked with an organization started by JP's mentor, Charles Randall, called Dare to Care. This foundation was Mica's passion and meant the world to her. During a 2023 trip to Kenya, after filing for divorce, the church members on the trip, including JP's right hand woman, Trisha Ross, convinced her to reconsider the marriage and reconcile. Kenya is a key gateway to other parts of the country and the world for nefarious activities. But Mica's desire was to care for the children in Kenya. In late December 2022 or early January 2023, Mica returned to her family in Kansas. This was after the first time she was involuntarily hospitalized and subsequently separated from JP. She was beginning to rebuild her life in Kansas. She found a church, joined the worship team, and made friends. She had wanted to find a therapist and figure out proper mental health diagnoses. But in March 2023, she returned to Myrtle Beach and her marriage. Her friends wondered if JP had come to Kansas and coerced her to go back with him. Her group of friends received text messages from her phone. The women got a text that read, quote, "Good news, I get to go home. I've been reconciled." And the men got a text that said, quote, "Don't ever contact this number again." No one thought that the text sounded like how Mica wrote messages.
what was JP's motive for bringing her back? Could there have been more motive in addition to just their marital issues happening at the same time?
Yeah. There is historical precedent for the involuntary hospitalization of women. The story of Elizabeth Packard's hospitalization in 1860 is eerily similar to Mica's, and we have a video about her. Mica first filed for divorce from JP in October 2023. At the time, he gave a sermon that mentioned his own mental health struggles and his own prescription for lithium. She withdrew this filing in February 2024, but soon refiled after she had once again been involuntarily hospitalized by JP. While in the hospital, Michael learned that JP was going through her electronics and impersonating her via text and social media messages to her friends and family.
Why the heck does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men. I thought, what? And I was thinking when I read that, I thought, Mark Cassidy, he's one of our elders here, and Jackie, she oversees our.
She also discovered that JP had taken possession of her car, purse, and other important belongings. On February 12th, Mica was released from the hospital and started trying to rebuild her life without JP. Before the hospitalization, JP preached that church members must not go against church elders. After the hospitalization, he preached that mentally ill people don't know they're sick and they have to trust their loved ones.
Here's why. When you're mentally ill, it's the one sickness you have that you don't know you're sick. And you have to trust people around you because you're saying, no, they're lying to me. They're telling me I need medicine. I don't need medicine, because the thing that's sick is your mind. And your mind is what you need to realize that you're sick. But you don't know you're sick because your mind tells you you're not sick. And your mind is the thing that's sick. Well,
it's also worth noting that in South Carolina, divorce is really difficult. Fault divorces can only be granted for adultery, habitual drunkenness, abandonment, or physical cruelty. And for no fault divorces, the separated parties have to live completely separately for a full year before divorce will be granted, which makes trying to leave an abusive situation even more difficult.
We really also begin to see here this like outsized role that lithium plays in this whole saga. Seems like there's a very much attention given to lithium and Micah taking her medication, not taking it, being forced to take it, and a lot of that really escalates right at this point.
And for him as well, because JP started acting more and more erratic. Mica made multiple police reports, ranging from her tires being deflated to being followed, threats, and the refusal of JP to return her property. He even emailed Mica that he would tell the pastors with Dare to Care that she had stopped taking her medication. He was caught exchanging inappropriate texts with a server at a local restaurant at this time as well. JP had preached that if you wanted to know what was going on in his life, we should just listen to what he's preaching. I think that is still true. On March 10th, JP preached about looking through Mica's phone and seeing 2 years' worth of text messages. He preached that he had seen 18 people that said to her that she could talk to them about whatever's going on in the marriage and they would keep it confidential. He also said during this sermon, quote, "You can't keep me down. You're putting fuel in my plane. And guess who's not going to be in my plane? My enemies."
He's preaching these things that seem to be channeling, messaging, projection. Is there more to it? Is he trying to send a message to somebody? Is trying to send a message to Micah, or could it even be that there's even deeper embedded messages that he's getting out there? All of his sermons are posted, or were, I should say,
Yeah.
posted online so they could be watched in full by anyone. There's just some strange. He discusses some strange activities in his sermons that don't seem to necessarily fit in appropriately in that setting, and
Yeah.
just has led to a lot of speculation about
Yeah.
what was really going on there.
Yeah. Devil's advocate, he often speaks and writes in a way that I think makes him sound smarter. And so it often could also be that, like, I go back to the "I've been reconciled" text, which isn't grammatically correct. We don't know that it was JP. It came from Micah's phone, but talks that way and he writes that way. And so I do think when he's preaching, he's very often trying to elevate uh, his his speech patterns.
Pastors. And for some reason, I can develop a sermon on tithing, on gossip, on strife, on supporting your pastor, and I can say things to the church that'll bless the pastor. So now I'm getting invitations to speak at other churches all over the states around here, and we got a free plane. I can go around this park right here behind the movie theater.
On March 11th, everything changed. Mica met up with someone on the beach and even shared a kiss. Mica had become more empowered, sharing social media videos, encouraging others to take a stand against abuse.
Male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain.
Abuse. Soon after, Mica was accused of stealing $1,200 from the Dare to Care bank account by someone at Solid Rock Church. It was quickly determined that she had withdrawn $150 of her own money from the account, and the matter was dropped. On March 17th, JP preached about a friend whose wife left him for a younger man.
Of note, the person JP accused her of kissing on the beach was a younger man. That was a protege of sorts to him.
Mhm.
And he was somebody who was on the mission trip to Kenya when she went.
Yes. On March 20th, a healthcare power of attorney that had been signed back in November 2022 was filed. The receipt named Mica as the person who paid. On March 24th, JP preached about firing an employee and obeying and submitting to authority.
Again, we think this may point back to that same young man that that Mica was seen kissing on the beach.
On April 7th, JP posted a topless photo of Mica to social media. Earlier in the day, he preached, quote, "It's amazing what one crazy woman can do to a man of God." On April 20th, Mica contacted the IRS to report financial discrepancies from Solid Rock Church. 5 days later, JP got notice that the divorce court case was scheduled and Mica had been granted an order of protection.
And I will say that I think this is one of the most important pieces here. If we're considering that this case could be about something much larger, maybe in the organized crime realm, which is what we tend to think, the authorities getting into one's files, especially finances, through the IRS and IRS discrepancies, it is often like, yeah, their way in, their way to start investigating and to start being able to request search warrants and such.
Yeah. On April 21st, JP preached, quote, "I just hate my life right now." 2 days after JP got notice of the divorce court being scheduled, Mica's body was discovered. The fallout for JP was quick. It was reported that JP attempted to enter Mica's apartment but was turned away. Then, photos of him and Susie began being released on social media. JP was dismissed from pastoral duties, but not fired from his church. He led Mica's funeral.
I've been speaking for many years, and for the first time, I don't really know exactly, how to open or how to close or any of that. I'm just
JP consistently uses words and phrases in his speech and writing that are supposed to make him sound smarter than he actually really is. It is, as we said, it's important to be mindful of the language he uses publicly, especially.
So, yeah, I think focusing in on JP's words is very important and possible double meaning.
Yeah, The North Carolina medical examiner ruled Mica's death a suicide, and the Robeson County Police Department released surveillance videos and Mica's 911 call. JP's alibi for that day was confirmed through this. Surveillance videos showed Mica's movements on the day of her death. Many suspicious things were happening in the videos, but nothing could be definitively pinpointed as anything tangible as to why Mica ended up at Lumber River State Park.
Surveillance videos of her leaving her apartment, going to a pawn shop, purchasing a weapon, um, her drive, gassing up her car, and heading to across the state lines into North Carolina, to a place called Lumber River State Park, which ultimately is where her body was found. And
Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins released a statement telling the public that the information released substantiated the findings of the medical examiner. JP's ex-wife, Allison, soon filed for emergency custody of the children she shared with JP, citing Mica as the person keeping the children safe from JP's erratic behavior. In June 2024, the FBI announced that they were investigating JP for both financial crimes and the events surrounding Mica's death. It's soon discovered that properties and LLCs linked to JP have different agents listed, including Susie, Trisha, Mark, and even JP's grandmother. On November 1st, the FBI executed a raid on JP's home. The raid was court appointed, and a U.S. Assistant Attorney was present. Neighbors who spoke to media generally gave an overall negative view of JP.
I think it's key to know that it was a fairly large raid.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe there was 20 to 30 agents, FBI agents there at the time.
Heavily armed as well.
Yes. Yet JP did not seem surprised.
No.
Almost as if he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
He pretty calmly left the house, went to Starbucks, and right before the raid, and was the search warrant was administered to him or given to him at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Before the raid, a body was discovered on land owned by Solid Rock Church across from JP's neighborhood. It has been determined to be separate from JP's case, and I am not able to find anything else about it.
Just seems to be something very, very suspicious. It seems like there's more to that than authorities have let on.
JP has alleged that his relationship with Susie didn't begin until January 2025. In February 2025, Mercy Church, formerly known as Solid Rock Church, announced that they were relaunching the Dare to Care mission in memory of Mica, and the organization would continue to be overseen by Charles Randall. And finally, JP and Susie are married on June 1st, 2025. There have been a number of other events. There have been some lawsuits filed against JP and his father for some allegations, custody things, erratic behavior. There's been quite a bit of other things, but I just kind of wanted to get the bones of everything in one place. Yeah, so that's kind of just the as I said, kind of the bare bones facts of what we know and what's happened to this point.
And we really haven't seen or heard from any of the parties involved, really, and for several months.
There have been a couple of things, but nothing really huge.
There's been no arrests of any of the friends that are directly involved. There have been a couple suspicious deaths of acquaintances or witnesses, but
all right. Well, hopefully this kind of quick guide helps anybody interested in the case. I would encourage you to go watch the rest of our content because we deep dive a lot of this and some other things. And yeah, we get into a lot of that is kind of sharing a little bit of what we believe is going on as well.
And our videos just kind of build upon each other, and they've been ongoing for the last year as more information has become available, and as we've researched and understood more about what's been going on in this in Myrtle Beach area, this part of the country, and quite honestly, nationally. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you soon.
bye.
Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, and subscribe. You can also check out our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow, for more content. Have anything you'd like us to fixate on? Reach out and let us know. Thanks for joining us. Disclaimer: we are not investigators, journalists, detectives, law enforcement, or historians. We are two neurodivergent ladies who just hyperfixate. Please do not take our opinions and ideas as statements of fact. All allegations are just that. We are not accusing anyone of anything, simply offering our interpretation of what we've researched.